Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and welcome to this, another bedingless day. My sincere apologies. If you know, you know. It is bright and sunny outside, and oh boy, going to bed last night was tough. It was hot. I have 3 fans in my room, all blowing on me. 2 fans outside of my door to keep the air moving with my window open. I was still almost too hot with just a sheet on. It's going to be a great summer. Hopefully you're doing well. Front loading of videos, hey, if you could toss me a like, that'd be awesome. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be very, very cool. If you could leave me a comment, that'd be double plus good. And I would like to thank as many of my Patreon patrons as I can. I like to put them all up on screen, but I would like to thank these people here because I'm trying my best to go through and change my list here on a daily basis. I don't always make it, but sometimes I do. Thank you to each and every one of my Patreon patrons. Because of you, I and my aging pet continue to metabolize. If you would like to help keep me and my aging pet metabolizing, I have links to my Patreon in the video description, as well as a PayPal for possible donations, an Amazon wishlist link that I desperately need to update. Oh, executive dysfunction is fun. So yay, front loading of videos over. It is loud. I have my window wide open with the fan in the window on low. The door is open, fan on outside the door, just to keep the air moving so I don't burn to death. I am very susceptible to heat. Oh joy, so my apologies for the loudness of the fan. Now, as for my list, got to go through it here. Last night I was not quite as cautiously optimistic about my leg when I went to bed because right around my ankle it was slightly locally swollen with that styrofoam-like feel to the swelling. And it is super painful today. Slight bits of redness, a little bit of that generalized swelling in my leg. I'm still very cautiously, slightly optimistic. Here's hoping. Still though, oh yes, I'm going to talk about something that's really depressing here real soon, but I'm also going to talk about this one real quick. When I was going on to therapy, talking about the amount of water that I drink and need to drink, my therapist showed me his jug, and he was telling me how he drinks and was told to drink and all that 3,500 milliliters of water daily. Now, I don't know how much that is close to a gallon, but I've tried drinking just 2.5 of these, and while my liquid output of my body looked okay, I was having growing difficulties with other forms of elimination. So I've had to increase my water drinking. It's not a gallon yet, but I get up and the first thing I do is drink about 20 ounces. I take time to do it. You just do it all at once. You're flooding your system. Your body's going to get rid of it. Drink it, like 20 minutes in smaller bits. And then I fill it up to 28 ounces. And I drink the 28 ounces till right around noonish. And then I fill it up again, and I drink that 28 ounces till around 6ish. And then I fill it up to about 20 ounces, and then I drink that and try not to completely finish it before I go to bed, because otherwise I'm just going to be up every 2 hours trying to urinate, and I'll never sleep. So, it's working out. Thumbs up for that. I'm going to talk real quick. What I've mentioned before, and a lot of you have heard, I am a widower. I mean, I talk about it a lot. My wife died back in 2014. I'm going to talk really, really quick about how kind of amazing it is that I even lived through that. Because when my wife died, I was 52 years old after 12 years of marriage, and especially older types, when your spouse dies, you have only about a 30% survival rate for the next few years. Now, like I said, I was married for 12 years. For 2 years, things were pretty much okay. My wife had had a lot of chemo and a lot of radiation because she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Her heart was damaged. She knew that at some point she was going to need heart surgery. With the birth of our first child, no problem. birth of our second child, well, halfway through that, her body went into early labor. So she had to go to the hospital and spend her time there. And then there was an emergency C-section because the cord got wrapped around our child's neck. Things went downhill fast after that. Her heart just started failing fast. And she had to get healthy enough after the birth of our child so she could go in and get heart valve surgery. She almost did not make it. The surgeon came out afterward to tell me that she was going to be dying on the table. If they hadn't done it that day, she would not have been able to get it done. She just would have been too far gone and dying. And her heart was just a mass of scar tissue, far smaller than it should have been for a woman of her age and size. She was overweight, and that's fine. But we spent the next 10 years slowly having things go downhill. She had been a very active, very independent, very, very high, strong-willed woman, and that was awesome. She was the kind of person that worked as a nurse, and if she broke her leg, people at work would have had to tell her, you need to go to the hospital, and force her there because she was just that kind of person. And then she had to quit after the surgery, and she tried to be as active as possible over the next couple of years, but over the next 5 years, that went from her being active to just sitting at home all the time and watching television. At about 5 years in, she broke down crying to me one night because it was just so hard to live and she was so tired of fighting. But she hung on for another 5. Slowly, it just came down to her and me. We went from, normal family life to just a tight orbit. Just her, just me, all around each other all the time, which I needed to be. I was terrified to get away from her presence because in the first 5 years of her marriage, at least, literally 20 times, if I had not been watching like a hawk and made the right decision right then, she would have been dead. So I was terrified to leave her, but over the next 5 years from there, she went from even just being a person who could walk when we took her to appointments to I had to help her walk to the bathroom. And then the last time she went to the hospital, because during our 12 years of marriage, once she had heart surgery, she spent anywhere from 3 to 6 months in the hospital every year. And so that was fun. But the last time we took her in, she wanted to see about getting heart transplant, getting on the list. When we took her into the hospital in Seattle, they took one look at her and admitted her. While she was there, she decided that it was time to stop fighting. Because before this, she had broken down again. Because it was just so hard living every single day. And so while she was in the hospital, she decided she was going to go on hospice, which is where you come home to die. And they take care of you and make you comfortable, but you're coming home to die. And so she did. She came home, and she had plans to do some things before she went too far. But unfortunately, we had all sorts of medical equipment, had a hospital bed and everything. She moved into our living room and started living in the hospital bed there. She didn't get all the things done that she wanted to get done. She started to go downhill fast. They had given her antibiotics that she wasn't supposed to take, and her kidneys were right on the line. And when she came back, her kidneys stopped producing. And so within 3 weeks of her being home, she was non-responsive in the hospital bed. And 1 week after our 12th anniversary, she died in our living room as I was sitting there waiting for it to happen. And, of course, immediately after that, my entire support network vanished. Everybody that had been there for this left. Everybody that knew me just left. Never came to see how I was doing, never came to check on me, never came to say, hey, are you okay? Nobody. I was alone. I tried my best to not be alive for a while, just through passive not caring, before I finally was able to pull through it and start trying to live. But even at that, it took years and years of me having to suffer before going to therapy, and I've been getting better and putting myself together since then. But yeah, when you're my age and you have a spouse die like that, there's about a 30% chance that you're going to live, and a 70% chance you're not. So I'm lucky again. Though I miss Jennifer every single day. But checking my list over here, let me see real quick here. I've talked about my leg, I've talked about Jennifer, I've talked about the water, I've talked about the summer. Let's talk a bit about this. I had mentioned before about, checking my list here, the sight, the glamours and all this on the razor's edge. If you have the sight and you can see glamours and you can travel, if you wonder why I spend so much time thinking about my creative stuff, part of it may be I'm trying not to think about the horrible, horrible stuff that's been going on in my entire life. I'm lucky. I'm still alive. My wife isn't. But then, as I said to my social worker, and it's true because I talked to my therapist about this as well, you know, somebody else's pain does not invalidate yours. Somebody is always going to have it worse. Someone will always have it worse. But that doesn't invalidate your pain. If you stub your toe and it hurts, that's valid. It doesn't matter that, yeah, probably at the same time somewhere else in the world, someone has fallen down and had a chainsaw saw their legs off. Yeah, they've got it worse than you. But that doesn't invalidate the fact that your toe frickin' hurts. It doesn't invalidate what you're going through. Someone will always have it worse. So, creative stuff. Since I've talked about the sight, if you're on the razor's edge, and there's the glamours that allow you to travel, if you gamify the terms, if you live on the razor's edge, you're going to have a sight value of at least 51. Below 50, you're like us out here. You cannot interact with the inside or the razor's edge. If you have at least 51, you can. But if you're trying to travel via glamour, it is a straight shot through a door, checking the time, through a door into our world, because out here reality is flat. There is only 1 meter per 1 meter. On the razor's edge, there is 1,000,000 kilometers per square meter. On the inside, there is 1,000 kilometers per square kilometer. There is a lot more there. But with nothing out here on our side, it's just a straight shot. There is an effective handshake protocol between the two realities, and it's easy. We got one connector here, and then it just has to find the connector here, but that's, once it's made, it's done forever. You just walk through that door. Problem is, with the razor's edge in the inside, because there is just superposition of reality and could be literally infinitely anything, you have an infinite number of keys with one handshake protocol that's valid. And you have the inside with an infinite number of keys where only one is valid. So if you wanted to travel from the razor's edge to the inside, sure, you could wait while this infinite number of keys here and this infinite number of keys here try to match up with that one and that one in two infinite numbers and wait for them to hopefully click, which could take millions, thousands, or hundreds of years, if it happens at all. Or there's places like the crossroads, because people are people. We like to have things like crossroads, one central point where you can split off. Take a look at places like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, where it's just one spot with the road stretching out from that forever. It's awesome. We like to do that as people. The crossroads is an area where you can go, where the handshake protocols of the inside and the razor's edge are pre-made. If you have a gamified site between 50 and 60, you're only going to have a few destinations you can travel to on the crossroads. The Association of Sovereign Free States, the Pale Domain of the Pale King, and the Crimson Kingdom. The greater your sense of sight, the more exits there are from the crossroads. Until once you get up to the 90s of sight, you don't even need the crossroads to travel anymore. You can get to the inside from wherever you are on the razor's edge. You just follow the glamours. Now, when you do travel through, there is a limited space you come out. If you come out of the razor's edge on the Brookerton door, which is the only one there on this razor's edge, you come out in the general city of Brookerton. When you land on the razor's edge, there is a large lozenge-like area that you can arrive in. The higher your sense of sight, the closer you are to where you want to be. So if you have a 70, you can get real close to your actual destination. If you have a 51, you got some traveling ahead of you. If you go to the crossroads to travel, it takes about 24 hours to travel from the crossroads to the Crimson Kingdom. And when you do arrive there, there is a promenade where you arrive generally in front of the Crimson Kingdom. That's just where the door leads. And the Crimson Kingdom itself, of course, is a gigantic kingdom right at this point, divided into 4 districts, the western, eastern, northern, and southern boroughs. The eastern borough, which to them is, for us, when we go to the west, we find the eastern borough, because where they are, when they go to the east, that's east, but we run across them when they go to the west. And that's where you arrive, at that door on the eastern borough, and you can enter. Each one of those boroughs has 4 to 5 million people living in them, and working, along with the central district, which has Red Palace, where the king in crimson themselves lives and governs. Thumbs up for that. And of course, the Crimson Kingdom is in the center of the island of this particular inside. All the energies from the infinite ocean coming through to the very center so it can pass through the razor's edge and out into our universe. As it comes up, it rains out this energy, becoming more rarefied, down converts as it travels through the razor's edge, continuing to rain out energy as it condenses and converts, and then out is normal energy into our universe. The razor's edge, the Crimson Kingdom, is in the center of the inside, and on the razor's edge, Apple Rock, the city, is on the inside, is in the center. Which, to be honest, the very center is where the kaiju is, sitting on its clearing on the mountain, overlooking this very pleasant valley at the base of the mountain, where everyone tends to build the city whenever they come around and rebuild Apple Rock. So that's how all that's happening. Let me check anything else here. And of course, really, it's not an of course, but I want to talk about, because I'm going to talk about again. I talked about this before, so if you've been around a while, you've probably heard, but this is for people that haven't heard, to remind people and to remind myself, because I don't want to forget all this stuff. There is an ambush predator, UTOKK, who lives within their own domain in the crossroads. The crossroads is a transitional area, and UTOKK, being an ambush predator, makes their home in transitional areas. Now, the razor's edge is a transitional area too, but it's way too big. UTOKK prefers a much smaller area. Now, UTOKK is an existential threat, but there's only about 2% of the population that UTOKK is really interested in. There are webs that go through thousands of layers, and if you're the kind of personality that UTOKK is looking for, when you get snagged on the web, you eventually end up at the crossroads in front of UTOKK's door into UTOKK's domain. Because periodically, there's the Association of Sovereign Free States, there's the Pale Domain exit, there's to the Crimson Kingdom, and occasionally there's a southern exit. But God help you if you enter into the southern exit, because the southern exit is UTOKK's domain. And if you're one of those that UTOKK's looking for you, it takes about a week to die. And UTOKK is a maestro at pain and terror. They play your entire nervous system like a symphony instrument. You are in maximal pain and terror the entire time it takes you to die. Which, they don't hate us. UTOKK does not hate us. UTOKK doesn't care. We taste best when we are in maximum pain and terror. They tried putting us into other states like euphoria, boredom, just plain normal fear, anger. We taste best when we're hurting and scared. And so, UTOKK hurts and scares us, and then devours the oh so tasty, tasty individual as that happens. But UTOKK, while an ambush predator, and so much stronger than the King in Crimson, is an ambush predator. And I'll talk more about UTOKK tomorrow, because I have opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank how many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I count American Sign Language is primarily for stimming purposes anymore, let me call up my Chrome. And then let me take out my glasses so I can see at that distance. It's rolled it. Thumbs up, thank you. And here's hoping I keep healing. Jesse Koskinen. Here is hoping things go well for you as well. And Mason Young, thumbs up and thank you. JAYY, greatly appreciated. It's good to have a social worker, and I don't know about healing, but here's hoping. There is ALBOE. Oh, it's Albo Europa. What is non-binary? It's just if you don't cling to the binaries of like male, female, because science and all that, there are 6 common sexes of people running around the United States, and every single one of them has a different DNA type. It's not just XX and XY. You'll run across the people that are XXXY and XYY. The 6 most common DNA combinations we have running around the world. There is Shinra, thumbs up, thank you very, very much, and here's hoping things go well, and I'm gonna wait and see on the new Kung Fu Panda. I hope they do it well. Nexor EH, thumbs up, thank you, good to see you, and here's hoping we can like talk more online and stuff. Chris, greatly appreciated, thumbs up, good to see you as well. There's RJ Mitchell, thumbs up, thank you very, very much, and I hope to continue doing more. We have Katie, thumbs up and thank you. There is Moni Walls, MONIWOLS, thumbs up, thank you, and that is it. Each and every person who left me comments, I got my Firefox opening up there too. Every single person who left me comments in the past 24 hours to get me out of my head, into the world, and dealing with real people. Thumbs up and thank you. It is appreciated. Well, so it being a Saturday, there's not a whole lot that I can get done that's like official, so I'm going to primarily take it easy for my leg. I'm going to hopefully keep healing. Hopefully you're going to be able to have a very, very good day as well. Thumbs up for that. So past that, oh, where's my controller? Here we are. I keep tugging on my shirt. I'm that kind of person. I am not comfortable with the feeling of cloth on my body, especially if it's not perfectly flat. One of my autistic things is that folding cloth, any sort of things like this on cloth just does not feel good on me. Yeah. So, looking once again at the beautiful picture on my desktop of this snake that's swallowing this young woman whole and alive. It's a really good picture. It's a 3-dimensional rendered thing. Not real, of course. It's a cartoon. But she's swallowed like with her head deep, deep, deep down the snake's throat. Just her feet coming out of the snake's mouth. And yeah, she's going to be swallowed whole and digested alive. It is a beautiful and awesome world where no one gets hurt. And snakes can swallow 5, 6, 7, young women every single day and digest each one of them alive. Nobody gets hurt. It is a beautiful and wonderful world, especially for snakes. They get a big full tummy every single day. So, once again, I've been waving this thing around while talking about other things, but I may come up with a different ending on these for one day, or at least come up with a good, solid way to talk about things instead of just fading out anticlimactically. But, yeah, so you take care, and I'll see you on the flip side.